really apply. And those rules only apply to your context. Obviously, if you catch a bug early and if you write more maintainable code, you will reduce your development cost. If you use Linty, for example, in VS Code, where you will improve productivity because as you code, you will fix issues right away. During the demo, we'll also see how you can deal with technical debt. Technical debt being all the debt you have since you started developing your hardware. So it could be technical debt because before you didn't have any standards. The VHDL language, Verilog language, they evolve over time. So there are new ways of coding. So to fix this technical debt, we'll see that Linty provide a nice way to deal with that. And we believe that if you provide modern tooling, easy to use, and a tool that adds a lot of added value, it will help you attract and keep very skilled designers, because right now, I guess you're also experiencing a big shortage in skilled designers. The next slide is just to say that Linty should be used by all stakeholders of a project. So it should be used by designers, by team leaders, by managers, auditors, testers, everybody. So the following slides, I won't go through them, but you will see the advantage for all stakeholders. So for manager, you've got a dashboard to monitor code quality and technical debt. For designers, team leaders, technical team leaders, you'll have feedback directly in GitHub, GitLab, in pull request, merge request. And for designers, directly in VS Code, you will get nice feedback. Those slides, you can download them from the Indico website. And in the next slides, you will see our contacts. All the links I will use during the demo, they are all public, so you'll be able to come back to those links to go into more details with Linty. So that's about it for the slides. I want to spend most of the time with the demo. So let's move to the demo now. So I will demo on GitHub, but as I said, you can have the same features on GitLab, on Bitbucket, whatever. So this is my sample project here. I created a pull request. So let's have a look at the pull request. I made a few changes on my code. So as you can see here, I just renamed my top entity and I added here an output vector, and I assigned a few values to this vector, as you can see here and there. So as a designer, I pushed that to GitHub, and a few seconds later, in an automated way, I will get feedback. So here, you will see that I get feedback from Linty. And here Linty tells me that I have introduced 3 bugs. So I don't comply to my quality gates. So as I don't comply to my quality gate, I cannot merge my code to the main branch. So like that, I keep my main branch clean in terms of code quality. So as a designer, I just have to click here. I will land on the Linty web interface. Here I'm on my pull request, and you can see that you can analyze any branch. So the main branch is green, but my pull request is not green. So here I have 5 issues and 3 bugs. So the 2 other issues are about maintainability. I just click on the 5 figure here, and I can see that on this file, I've got my 5 issues. So there are several kinds of issues. So first, we have our linter engine. So we just parse your source code and we raise issues based on our linting rules. So for example, the first one is about a naming convention. So here, I don't comply with the naming convention I set for this project. It doesn't allow uppercase letters. And as you can see here, I have a D uppercase letter at the beginning of my dream entity. Another linting issue, for example, could be this one here. Yeah, I defined that we should use the down to direction for vectors to have the size of the vector first. And here I don't comply to the rule, so I should fix it. So there are hundreds of rules about linting. And then we have another engine that we call Bug Finder. And this one is really about deep code checks. So we elaborate your design. We will run our own synthesis passes to grab information from your design. We'll process this data and we raise issues. So those issues are more about bugs and security issues. So let's take the first one, for example, this one. So here it tells you that one bit of my vector, bit number 3 here, is not registered. So I can click on it. And if I click on the secondary location of the issue, yeah, here you can see that the output bit here is directly connected to the OR cell. And obviously this code should be in the flip-flop above. The other issues in these examples are, yeah, I have one bit that is always constant. So I can ask myself, is it really what I want? Is it really what I expect? Maybe did I miss something during the implementation of my feature? Because whatever the path, I will always get the same value as an output, as the output. And the last one is one bit is never connected, same thing. Is it really what I wanted in terms of functional behavior? You can interact with any issue. So for example, if this output here is always constant, which is really what you want, what you expect, you can say, okay, I will accept, the issue, and I will explain why it's always constant in my design. My screen is too small. I resolved the issue. So now if I go back here, you see that I have 4 issues to fix, 2 bugs to fix, and obviously if I go back to the pull request, it has been updated here. I have only 2 bugs to pass to be able to pass my quality gate. So this is the first feature. Each time you push a bit of code, you've got feedback and you can fix things. Now let's move a bit earlier in the process. Since the beginning of the year, we wanted to be able to check code as you code directly in your editor. So we released an extension for VS Code. So let's open VS Code here. So as a designer, directly in VS Code, when you open a file, directly in the problem tab here, you will see all the issues reported by Linty. The issues that are reported here are really the issues that you have activated on your project, because directly in VS Code here, you can link your local code to a Linty server and to a specific project. So each designer working on this project will really share the same set of rules with the same configuration. So everybody will be following the same rule on a specific project. So if you go here, or if you go back here, or if you have all the issues here, so when you click on an issue, yeah, you go to the source code. So now let's open this one, for example. If I want to fix this one, I can right-click here to open some description about the issue. So here it explains why it's better to code that way. Always also you have some code examples how to fix things. And let's fix the issue then. So I will copy that and I replace all those 0 here by the other, and you will see that here my issue disappeared. And obviously if I revert my change here, it will reappear here, it reappears here. So as you code, it will check for issues, so you can fix things directly in VS Code. So as a designer, you will do the mistake once, twice, but the third time, you will know the right way to code in the context of your project. So it's what we bring as a first feature in VS Code, but we also bring additional stuff to help designers understand their design and investigate issues. So let me close everything here. So what you can do directly in VS Code is that you can run what we call a local analysis. So it will run an analysis of your project directly here in VS Code. It will take a few seconds. So for this project, it's about 6,000 lines of code. It takes even 5 or 10 seconds. And then you'll be able to open many kind of reports. So if we type Linty report here, you will be able to open the design hierarchy report, CDC report, RDC, FSM report, etc. So let's open, for example, the hierarchy report. So you have access to graphs. So let's open a graph. Let's make it big enough for you to see. So here it's the design, it's the hierarchy of your design. So you see the different entities here, the different instantiation. You can interact with the graph. For example, you can highlight the path to a specific instantiation, and everything is clickable. So for example, if you want to have a look at the instantiation of the U4 or RegBank entity here, you just have to click and it redirects you to the source code. So you can have a look at this instantiation. So yeah, this design to understand your design, especially if you start working on a new project. And then you can have any kind of report like FSM report. For example, here on this project, it tells you that you've got 2 FSMs. And same thing, you can open graphs to understand the FSM. So let's open the first one. Let's make it bigger. So here you can see that this FSM has 4 states. They don't use enumerated types. So it's also a rule in Linty. Maybe it would be nice to have enumerated types to better understand this FSM and the transitions. And everything is clickable. So if you want to have a look at the FSM, you just have here to click and you will land directly in the FSM and you can read the code and understand it. And last thing I will show you is about CDC report. So let's open the report here. So on this project, you've got 33 clock domain crossings. So they are all listed here. Let me open you a simple one. So this one, so it's a CDC between those 2 flip-flops here. It's the same clock signal, but you can see here it's rising, and for the output clock is falling. So it's still a CDC from our point of view. And what you can do is you can click here, to have a look at the first flip-flop. You can click to see the other flip-flop, and you can also open the electronic graph. So same thing, let me make it bigger. So this one is really, really simple. So you got your 2 flip-flops here, your clock signal here, that is the same for the 2 flip-flop, but different edges. And to understand this CDC, if it's properly implemented, and if you didn't expect any CDC, why is there a CDC here? Everything is clickable. So if you want to have a look at this flip-flop, you click here and you land in the source code implementing this flip-flop. So that's about it for VS Code. We can go back later in details during your questions. I will show you 2 features in Linty, and then we can start discussing. So let's go back to the web server here. So I was talking about technical debt. So let's take this demo project here. The first time you will analyze your source code with Linty or any tools that are like Linty, for sure you will get many issues. And as a designer, if I see that I get, I don't know, 11,000 issues here, I will tell myself, what's the point of trying to follow code quality if I already have 11,000 issues here? If I have 10 more, 100 more, or 100 less, well, it won't make a difference from my point of view. So I won't be motivated to work with such a tool. So that's why in Linty, you can define a baseline. So usually what you do, if you start using Linty on a legacy project, on an existing project, you will run the first analysis. And in this overall code, you will see the quality of your project according to your requirements and your standard. And then you can say, okay, this is my baseline. So you will set this first analysis as a baseline. And then in the new code tab here, all your figures will be at 0. And if on the new code, so the code you add or you change, you introduce new issues, you'll be able to spot them here. And your objective as a team will be to make sure that all those figures here will remain very close to 0. So your first objective is to say, okay, the past is the past. My design is in production. Many customers are using it, so it kind of works. So we say, okay, let's forget about the standards, but on new code, I will make sure, so on new code, meaning maybe on the new version, on the new feature that I will add, we will make sure that we do a good job in terms of code quality. So you will have VS Code, you will have issues directly in your pull request, merge request, and if by accident some issues still land on the main branch, you'll be able to spot them here and fix them right away. So like that, you'll be more confident to release a new version very quickly because you'll be able to compare the previous version to the current version under development. So you have these 4 issues, so maintainability issues, potential bugs, etc. But you also have that, if I go to another project, you also have that for test bench. So let me go here, up. So here it's a project, so it's a demo project where I also integrate, in this case, model sim code coverage reports, but we're also compatible with other tools. So what you will do is you will integrate, you will run your test bench, you will compute the code coverage with model sim or whatever, and you will pass this report to Linty, and we will integrate it in Linty, and you will see that it will be very easy to navigate. So for here, for example, you can see that you have this code coverage, and I'm not in the right project. This is the plugin itself. Yeah, it's this one. So here overall, we have a 53% code coverage. But since my baseline, so that could be anything a few months before a specific version, I have only 30% code coverage. So as a team, as a manager, I can say that I'm not doing a good job in terms of code coverage by test bench since the previous version. So I can then investigate. I just have to click here. I see that I have updated 2 files since the baseline. So let's keep clicking. And here directly in the source code, when it's highlighted in yellow, it means that it's covered by some test bench. When it's red, it's not covered by a test bench. And when it's a mix here, it means that some conditions are covered, others are not. But the most important is that we also highlight the pieces of code that are new. So the pieces of code that you've added or modified since your baseline. So very quickly here as a designer, I know that I have updated or added those 2 when clauses here. I know that one is covered by some test bench, but this one is not covered by a test bench. So in a few clicks as a designer, I know what kind of work I have to do in terms of test bench. I have to cover that one. So it's what we can bring on top of model sim reports, for example. We make them very actionable. In a few clicks, you know what to do. And you focus again on new code, on what you're currently doing. So that's about the main features of Linty. There are many more to discover, but I prefer to answer questions, and we can dig in together in details in what you're interested in. So go ahead for questions. So I know how really you want to do those Q&A sessions. Do you monitor the questions? Should everybody?
Yeah, so I think people should either feel free to raise your hand. I will call your name, and then you can ask questions, or you can just have the question in the Zoom. I think we can already start with a question from Maria. There's already one in the Zoom chat window. Maria asks, what is the difference in respect to DVT IDE extension for the VS Code?
DVT is one of our competitors. So what's the difference you have in VS Code? First, we provide everything. So as you can see, we provide code colorization, we provide navigation, auto-completion, etc. What we provide is we provide all the issues, but what is the main differentiators with other tools is like directly in VS Code, you can run this local analysis very quickly to elaborate your design and get many information on CDC, RDC, FSM, etc. in a few seconds to really understand very quickly your design and investigate potential issues. Our objective is really to provide feedback as early as possible, and the feedback you don't have to wait for minutes, hours, you have it in a few seconds. So I think it's the main differentiators with other tools. I don't know if it answers your question.
Thank you. I see another question. What are the other extensions needed in VS Code for working properly?
Okay, so with Linty, yeah, we will provide you everything regarding issues. So displaying issue, displaying all the reports I showed you. For code colorization, navigation, auto-completion, etc., we partnered with V4P that we think is the best extension for VHDL for those code colorization, navigation, etc. But it can work with everything. So if currently you're using Teros HDL and you like it, yeah, you can keep Teros HDL to write your VHDL or Verilog code, and then you can just add a Linty extension to check all your issues. Another extension you would need is to preview the graph, and this extension is an extension we provide. So there is a Linty graph extension, and we also provide an extension pack in VS Code. So in this extension pack, you will have Linty, Linty graph, and V4P. So you will have everything in a single extension pack. So you can install it and this pack, and you'll have everything you need to start coding in a good way.
Thanks, David. More questions? So I guess there's one more. I'll just still is the tool free?
With CocoaTV. Okay. Yeah, we support many formats. Right now, we don't support CocoaTV because nobody asked for, but it's very simple to support an additional tool. So usually those tools, they provide already an XML format saying, okay, this test bench covered that line in this file, that line in that other files, etc., etc. So our work is just to convert this XML format to our own format. So it's just an XML transformation. So yeah, very quickly we can add support for CocoaTV if you're interested in it. We just need your support by providing some report and by testing. But yeah, it's very easy to add additional format.
And there's one more question right after asking
Right after,
whether the tool is free.
The tool free. Yeah, it's a good question. So the tool is free. We made the tool free. So we made Linty free. So what everything, the server, the web interface, the VS Code extension, it's free for any open source project. So if you're working on an open source project, yeah, we'll be glad to offer you licenses to be able to automate things in GitHub, GitLab, and to use the VS Code extension. For companies, yeah, we have to make some money to develop the tool. So they have to pay. So everything is public. So if we go to our website, our pricing compared to our competitors is public. So how does it work? First, when you purchase Linty, you purchase just one central server and everybody can use it. So our objective is that there is no limitation in terms of user. So everybody in your company should use Linty. From the designers to the manager to the tester, everybody should use Linty. The pricing is just different according to the number of lines of code that are analyzed in a regular way on your Linty platform. So for example, here for the first edition, you can go up to 50,000 lines of code. So 50,000 lines of code, it means that you can host as many projects as you want. It could be, I don't know, 3 projects of 10,000 lines of code. And you can analyze them as many times as you want. And you can analyze any branch, any pull request, whatever. For a project of 10,000 lines of code, whatever the number of branches you analyze, how many analyses you run a day, it will only count for 10,000 lines of code. And we only count actual lines. So blank lines, comments line, they are not taken into account here.
Thanks. We got 2 more questions on the message. One is also from Marian for the gate. It is also as an extension.
How does it work? Yeah, to automate things in GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. So let's have a look here. So we provide everything. So all the components of Linty are provided as Docker images. So it's very easy to run Linty. So for example, here on GitLab, you have your GitHub workflow. And the GitHub workflow is quite simple. So yeah, you check out your source code. Here's just a few parameters to analyze a branch, pull request, whatever. And then you just have to run a Docker command. And the Docker command will take a few parameters that will be always the same here. So as you can see, to configure an analysis, just a copy paste of this workflow here, and you can adapt it from one project to the other. But you will see that from one project to the other, it's really, really similar. So once you have set up Linty for a project, it takes a few seconds to set up another one.
Thanks. There's one more question in the chat. Actually, 2 more. One is the
I have a question about the code coverage of is there a difference with model sim code coverage? No, it's still the responsibility of model sim to generate the XML file, so the code coverage report. With model sim, you can have an HTML. You can browse this report through HTML, for example. What we will do with Linty is that we integrate this report into Linty, and we are able to say, okay, this is new code, this is old code. So we decorate the code so you can navigate on new code. So very quickly, you can get the code coverage on new code, something you don't have on model sim. So if between 2 versions, you really want to focus on what you're doing, this feature is very nice because you focus on code coverage on test benches on this new code. It's what we bring on top of model sim. Can some of the lines be excluded from the analysis? Yeah, sure. Obviously, you should only analyze the code you're writing. So you should not analyze external libraries because, yeah, even if there are issues, you cannot do many things about them. You can just change from another library. So when you run Linty, as we will elaborate your design, we will take into account those third-party libraries, but we will only display your source code and only issues on your source code. So really, when you count lines of code, it's only your source code. And then obviously you can exclude whatever you want. If you have some code that is generated from a specific tool, you can exclude this generated code because you can't do anything about it. So you can exclude files. You can also exclude some rules on some specific files because sometimes rules, they apply to some files, but they don't apply to other files. So you can really refine your analysis to make sure there are no noise for the designers and only issues that they should fix are displayed in Linty. Next one, free for academic research, open source or not. It's free for open source, and in any case, if you use our open source platform, your code will be publicly available. So it should be, I guess it should be open source, because if you don't want to disclose your source code, you won't be able to use Linty on the open source platform, because your source code will be available. So if we look, for example, at the open source platform we started a few weeks ago, you have projects here. For example, this new RV32 project, it's publicly available. So when you use Linty, your code will be available. So if somebody click on the issues, you will be able to see your code. So it has to be, you have to publicly publicly publish your code to be able to use Linty for free.
Thank you. There's one more question by David.
Does the Docker for continuous integration run on shared runners, or it will run on the server you provide? No, the scanner, so the Linty scanner will run on your own runners. So if you're on GitHub, it will use your own runners. So it could be just a public runner, and I don't know, if you want to use your own runners, yeah, it will also run on your runners. The only limitation is that the runner should be a Linux machine. And as it uses your runners, you can run analysis as many times as you want. It doesn't cost anything to us because it's on your runners. And if it's an open source project on GitHub, for example, your runners are, the time on your runners are free. The check tools used on VS Code run locally on your servers. Now, when you're on VS Code, everything runs locally. The only connection between VS Code and the Linty server is when the connection is available, it will just sync the rule set on the project. So the only thing you do here is to say, okay, this is my project on the server, so it will sync the rule set to make sure that we are always using the same rule set as the one that is defined on your project. It will also sync the issues that have been marked as accepted. So if that tag has been accepted, you won't see them again in VS Code. So it's the only connection. When you don't have any connection, you can keep working on your laptop in VS Code using Linty. You'll be able to see all the issues. You'll be able to run local analysis to access all those reports and graphs. Can you compare Linty with Sigazi in respect of, okay. I'm not a big fan of comparing to our competitors, but there are a lot of differences between Sigazi and Linty. The first one is that Sigazi is only a linting tool. So it won't elaborate your project, your design. So Sigazi won't be able to detect issues on CDC, for example, on RDC, on advanced checks we have, because you need your design to be elaborated to be able to check those advanced rules. Then compared to Sigazi, we provide a web interface. So we provide this web interface so everybody is able to follow code quality over time. So here I didn't show you, but you can follow how code quality evolves over time. Everybody can interact with the issue. They can close them, accept them, etc., etc. Another thing that could be of interest is that by default, we provide a safety critical kit here. So sometimes to comply to some standards, you have to prove to the auditor that the tool you're using to check code quality is doing a good job. So you have to prove that it works well in your environment. So we also provide an automated qualification kit. So we will provide with all the necessary documentation, and we will provide you with all the scripts to run on your instance to prove to the auditor that your tool, that Linty, is DO-254 compliant, for instance. And there are many, many more, but yeah, I think they are the main differentiators. Are there other questions?
Thanks so much, David. This is very interesting. And maybe I can also ask a question. Oh, I guess we have one more about what type of support.
What type of support? So also, I think it's a big differentiators with our competitors. When we sell Linty, when you want to use Linty, our goal is really to help you automate everything. So it's not only a support on Linty by itself, but we will help you automate things through GitHub, GitLab, whatever you're using, because our goal is when we sell Linty, we really want the customer to use Linty and get the best of Linty. So we will help you on Linty about defining your set of rules, configuring rules, but we will also help you on GitHub, GitLab, Jenkins, whatever. And on my side, I've been working 15 years in the software world in the DevOps. So yeah, we know very well those concepts, so we can help you a lot on that. And support can be by email or by phone. So Ray, you wanted to ask a question yourself?
Yes, I was going to ask about, so this is just for HDL, right? Would you support like HLS languages?
No, it's only, for now, it's only VHDL, Verilog, Stem Verilog, and TCL. Okay. And also, as we integrate with the SonarQube platform, so I guess some of you recognize the SonarQube platform here, and they are using it in the software world. So if you were doing some Pythons or some C++, you can also analyze this code within the same platform.
Very nice. And we had 2 more questions.
One
is about how many hours? Yeah.
Well, yeah. How many hours of support?
How many hours support?
Yeah, we don't count the hours. So we try to make Linty work in your environments. So for now, we don't count the hours. So, and it's not complex to configure and run Linty. So we always help our customers. Next question. So can we say it is an all-in-one linter code tester, checker, auditor, and basic Git integrator? Yeah, we can call it like that if you want. Yeah, it's our objective that when you use Linty in VS Code, yeah, you can code. It's not really I don't know what you call tester. So tester, we won't help you write your test benches. We will not run your test benches. It's still the responsibility of CocoaDB or Model Sim or whatever. And yeah, we easily integrate with Git. How much support we can ask if we have academic license? I'd say the same thing. We try to help you set up things. So we don't count our hours. And again, it's not complex to set up Linty. In your demo, you showed a problem in CDC. It means that you do some kind of synthesis. How do you do that? Yeah, so yeah, for sure, we elaborate your design. So the process for our bug finder engine is that we elaborate your design. Then we have our own synthesis passes. So we run those passes to grab information, and then we process this data. So how do we elaborate your design? So we use Yosys, and we use the pet version of Yosys that is based on Verific, and Verific is the tool that is used by almost all the EDA vendors for synthesis. So we are compatible with any version of VHDL and Verilog system, Verilog language. And so on your side, the only piece of configuration you have to do, so if I go back to my project sample here, is to provide, let's say those two files here. So listing all the files that you want to read and in which order.
You're not sharing anymore in case you're trying to record something.
I'm not sharing. Oh, sorry. Entire screen share. It's okay now?
Or maybe it's just me.
Yeah,
I can see now. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to provide, in which order to read your VHDL Verilog files. You can also use list, file list, and you already have this information somewhere on your project. So just a little change in the syntax, but you can generate those files. And this one just to say, okay, my top module, top entity is this one, and then you can also pass some generics parameters. So once we have that, we will elaborate your design with Yosys, run our own synthesis passes, because we don't do a full synthesis because it could take hours. That's why it's very fast on Linty side, because we only run our own passes to just grab the pieces of information we need. And then we process this data to detect CDC, RDC, FSM, etc., etc. Does it answer fully your question? Okay, perfect.
Actually, I don't know why I don't just unmute myself. The more on that question. So how do you deal with IPs? Say that I'm using some Xilinx or AMD like a file RAM.
So how does it work? So let me show you maybe a real example of one of our customers. That one. Okay, no, this is for Nano Explorer. Oops, sorry. And the other one was which project took? I think this one. Yeah, so for example, this project is using external IPs libraries here. So you just have to provide those IPs, not the full IP, you just have to provide the interfaces between your code and those third-party libraries. So just a little bit more of configuration, as you can see here. But again, you should have the same kind of configuration already on your project if you use Vivado or whatever. So does it answer your questions, or
Yes, I think so.
more?
So every time I add a new file or I want to verify something more, I need to add a line to those
files. Yeah, or maybe on your side you maintain a file list. So if you update the file list on your side for the other tools, they will be automatically taken into account in Linty if you link Linty to this file list. Otherwise, and also most of our customers, what they do is they already have a file for a specific tool, and they just, in their continuous integration process, they just take this file and they have a script to modify the syntax. Instead of calling whatever, they will call verific and the name of the file. So usually they have a script in their continuous integration to just convert their existing script into a Linty Yosys compatible script.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I just got a question from Eva. She asked, what are some of your main users today?
The main users today? Our main customers, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some are publicly available on our website. Yeah. So one of our main customers is the French Space Agency, CNES. For big companies, we have Airbus. We have Mercury Systems in Geneva, so not far from the CERN. There we have many laboratories of the CNRS that are French laboratories. We have the French Army, and we have other customers. So mainly in the aerospace industry, but for example, Leroy Automation here, it's the railway industry. So we are our main customers for now. And we also have, lately, we just got also the US Navy, who bought Linty for VHDL verification. But they are not listed here because, yeah, they don't want to.
Yeah, thank you. That's very nice to hear, because I think one thing people will be worried about is the long-term support, like maintenance, and the fact you have these large users. I think it's a
Yeah, don't worry about the long-term support. Linty has been founded like 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. But really, over the last 3 years, yeah, we have more and more customers. And the licensing model is that it's each year, sorry, you renew your subscription to Linty. And for now, all our customers, they renewed. So nobody left. So
wow.
it's good. It's a good point in terms of long-term support. So when our customers, when they try Linty, they keep it.
That's great to hear. Okay, thank you so much, David. I think we're actually 2 minutes left before we reach the hour. Are there any more questions before? Right. I think we already had a very nice discussion.
Okay, perfect. So in the slides we have you have all the contacts. So if you want to contact me, if you want to try Linty out, yeah, we'd be glad to talk to you and provide you with support and a trial license.
Okay, thank you very much, David. This is
Thank you very much to you and the CERN team. Thank you for this nice slot to present Linty.
Yep, great. And thanks everyone for joining. And again, the next seminar will come soon. Like keep an eye out for the notification.
Bye.
So I think we can close today.
Okay, so bye-bye everybody, and let's hope we can talk to each other soon.